We're back. We got Jahmal Harvey here taking on Cervantes. They said Cervantes looks up to Roberto Duran. I'm a big fan of Roberto Duran personally. I read his book and everything. I think he gets some slack for the whole, no mas thing, but, he's a legend. I think he's kind of a misunderstood guy. But here we get a good look at Harvey. I misspoke. This is his second fight of his pro career, one knockout. So you get a good look at him walking in. I like he's got the leather jacket. Good color scheme going on here. Looks like both guys are with FanDuel. So shout out to MVP anyway for, it seems like people that are fighting under their umbrellas, are getting good direct like sponsorships and things that are, right along with kind of what the card's promoting and things like that. Sometimes it just makes it look a little cleaner. Even these guys as the first bout, they're maybe getting a little slice of that, advertisement and sponsorship revenue as well. So yeah, we get a good look at Harvey here, man. That's a sharp jacket. Like I said, this is a guy I'm pretty high on. I'll just look here. Just wanted to reference his, all right, 2021 AIBA championships. Okay. Hey, man, being an amateur world champ is no joke. That's tough. It's a tough background to come from. High competition to have that kind of success in, and, see how it translates into the pros. Obviously, different scoring system. I've spoken to people who fought in, both amateur and pro. Certainly a different way to it. Also, it kind of depends on where you are too, regionally and things like that. But he's gotten some good national, like big, grander level of boxing competition experience. So, I'm not sure this is, too difficult as far as bright lights and things like that. I think he handled himself really well throughout the week at the press conference. Some of these American guys, some of these rising guys, they think they have to over talk. They have to, talk a bunch of trash and stuff like that. Maybe even against an opponent who English isn't their first language, for example. But you like a guy like Harvey, and you hope he just sticks to himself in that sense. He can evolve, he can grow, he can show off more of his personality, but not in a way that's just going to be demeaning these other opponents. I think of a Ben Whitaker and kind of the way he's been disrespectful to some of his opponents, even their teams and things like that. And that's just not something I mess with, especially from someone who maybe doesn't have a lot of pro fights under their belt. Because you're matched up against a guy who, isn't put in there to lose to you, right? But it's kind of the nature of it. So we got to look at some doofus in the crowd with what looked like to be some expensive Pokemon card that I'm sure one of the Pauls had. I'm not sure if that's the guy who put 5 mils on Jake here tonight, but yeah, I don't know. It's just confusing me. Because with the Mike Tyson thing, I felt like with that fight, the bookies, as it got closer to fight, you could only bet, and especially bet as far as money line, not just rounds, right, but more specific winner outcomes, general outcomes, things like that. I felt like as it got closer to the fight, there were only a couple of kind of weird off-brand sites that you could do it on. So to see the bookies kind of integrated here and things like that, and even pushing promos and stuff, I'm I don't know, Joshua could walk in there and just be kind of tooling around, but eventually he has to inflict damage for this to be even remotely legit. And I feel like that could be a problem with money and things like that. Obviously the bookies are involved, but you think about you can't they can't write something like that in the contract and have the fight be listed as anything, or presented as anything more than an exhibition and all these things. So, but I guess their argument, they could say, well, I know, but you see Jake, some of the pros are picking Jake, things like that. They're presenting it between Jake, Joshua himself, everyone involved, as if Jake believes he has a chance and that he does have a chance. So maybe that's their their kind of thing they can fall back on. But we see Harvey here sticking out his jab. Very slick fighter. So he's 5'4", 130. I feel like over the years, like I'm a big like Lee Wood fan, and he's at 130. And when you have a guy that you root for at a weight like that, good body work here from Harvey. Man, he's fast. Man, it's so fast. I mean, like these combinations, these hooks, upstairs, downstairs, upstairs, down here, stairs. Another jab. We're just 1 minute in. Sharp with the Nike boxing shoes as well. But like for example, the Lee Wood, like that's a guy I love to watch, and I've loved like watching his career evolve. Even if it's like post, rewatching fights that I can see live. And it's been cool to kind of like see 130, although he's more of like a big time domestic draw over there. He's a world level operator. Good uppercut there from Harvey. Not much from Cervantes here, kind of off his back foot. See if you can channel some of his Roberto. Ooh. All right, so Cervantes kind of whiffs on a hook, but also gets caught at the same time. See, it is ruled a knockdown. He seems to be complaining. He looks all right. I couldn't tell if he slipped, but I mean, you gotta be on balance. It's part of the game. See what Harvey looks to do here. Low with that jab, but he can be a little 1-2, 1-2. Man, this guy is fast and powerful. This is good to watch from the young fella. Another jab. Whew, just getting home with that jab, man. A couple right hands. Working mainly upstairs, mixing in the body as well. Let's see here. In great shape as well too. But yeah, like with the 130 thing, like a guy like Wood, then you start to get to know the other guys that he's kind of in the mix with at that division, and like even if it's not the biggest division on the world stage, like in my mind that's a fun division to watch, and like I like all the guys, and like I can watch their different fights and kind of see who they're matching up against, who they look good against, and then when they eventually meet, like how everything develops. All right, big punch there from Harvey. Looked like Cervantes was a little bit off balance, just under 15 seconds left to go. I don't think he's gonna be able to get him out in this first round, but very measured attack from him. Smooth. Swinging on some of these shots here, a little right to left action as we're gonna end the first round. But that's, I don't know, because I feel like the 135s, so some of these divisions you're just looking for new faces, right? So 130, especially like 135, 140, you can kind of see what that might look like over the next couple of years, kind of predict it. But I like some of these lower weights, like I said, the 130, and kind of figuring out who's going to be the next crop of guys, and that could be led by a guy like Harvey. So I'd be interested to see if he could stay at 130. I could see there being pressure for him to go up to 135, catch weights 140, and face some of these bigger names. But hey man, if you can dominate, you can make the weight, you're comfortable with the weight, you stay at the weight. Nothing wrong with that. Big right hook, man. Oof, another straight right. Yeah, Cervantes tried to get some work there. That's a knockdown, man. However you wanna chop it up. As a knockdown, my friend. All right, round number 2. See how many were scheduled? 6, okay. At least it's not 4 for the young prospect. Try to get him to go 6 if you can. A little body work there from Harvey. More jabs here. Kind of comes in with that lead right. You see him shaking his head. Want some respect to Cervantes here. We've landed 2 punches thus far. See, he's not standing much a chance, man. He's just can't even really tell at this point, but little 1-2 there, man. So Harvey in the southpaw at the moment, like the 1-2 as opposed to 2-1, back into orthodox, man. Whipping those jabs, falling by rights. See, when you're a guy in there like Cervantes, you can kind of mess around with these different things, switching stances, things like that. I feel like you see on the higher levels, world championship levels, when a guy tries to do that, it's not going to be as effective because you're in there against like a world-class operator. I think Cervantes is probably a tough guy. He's been in 5 fights, but they're picking their opponents wisely for sure. So respect to him, especially if he can get through this fight. Obviously was knocked down, but Harvey with the uppercut, kind of able to see if he can cut off the ring here, get some more good work. Just lead him with that jab, closer to like a 33% success rate on his punches here. Misses on the right just there. Follows another jab. I mean, he's definitely the physically bigger and stronger guy. You'd like him really kind of try to like assert himself here. Because the Cervantes guy might be tough, but he's not that tough where he's gonna be able to take your shots like that over the course of even 4, 5, 6 rounds. So getting a good look here. 50 seconds left to go. You see Harvey back in the southpaw. I mean, like I said, he's gonna get away with like something like that here. It's about a respect thing for your opponent. Big right, couple of rights from Cervantes, who can only just hope to kind of push Harvey off of him with his gloves. Harvey with that lead right hook from the southpaw, then can get switched back quickly into the orthodox. Shoot some jabs here. Another hook. They both exchange jabs. 29 seconds left to go. All right, man. I like what I see out of this guy. He's well spoken outside the ring. Kind of whiffs on the 1-2 there. Gets caught coming in, but man, that punch is not saying much. Let's be honest here. Last few seconds, of the round. Harvey lands another right. Little duck there. But yeah, you like him just to keep being kind of respectful with things. From my perspective, you know what I mean? Like the way I am, the way I think a lot of fighters are, is like, I'm not gonna walk around with disrespect, but I'm gonna walk around with confidence. And if someone disrespects me, that gives me the green light to disrespect them back, or get some sort of get back. But I think Harvey's a good kid. I like what he's doing here. Like I said, it's being able to switch stances, kind of, I mean, it's a second pro fight, big prospect on a big stage. Let's show the audience something. Let's be a little not fancy and not boasting, but how can I best show off my skills and show off myself in the spotlight? So good stuff here so far. Third round. Kind of like the setup we got going here. Nice looking ring, starting to pack in. Man, he's flinging that jab. That is tough, man. Even half of those are landing. Whew. Long night's work, man. I like how he does, let his hands go inside for sure when Cervantes starts to close that distance from the jab. But, Cervantes is not a guy that's moving his head too much. Sort of a standing target, So you see here 10-8 followed by 10-9 there for Jahmal Harvey. Little uppercut, upstairs, downstairs. Some hooks and body work here from Harvey. Back in that southpaw, giving him different looks. Let's see here. Slowing down a little bit. Cervantes trying with that jab. Misses, big whiff on the hook. Harvey still in the southpaw. I mean, man, that's just tricky when a guy's, going back and forth. Especially, at this level, given what, I bet Cervantes prepared for. So Harvey comes in with the left. Yeah, Cervantes kind of trying to work that jab a little bit, but not saying much, man. Not saying much, but, props to the guy. We got the 1-0, highly touted prospect, MVP, this and that. You're not exactly expecting, anything crazy here. But yeah, props to him. Let's be honest. And I like it because American boxing is in a weird place, and Jake's, man, big hooks from Harvey. Oof, left down the pipe, man. Big right hook. All right. Oof. Okay. We'd call that a slip. That was kind of a weird interaction. Almost looked like Harvey kind of had his arm on Cervantes, but I mean, he might go here. Oh, but the body shots, man. a little bruising below the right eye of Cervantes, but yeah, just when you think you're getting rocked upstairs, I'm making your hands drop, man. It's good stuff from Harvey here. Cervantes looking a little tired. I can't blame him. He just got the work. You see the crowd getting into it as well. I got the right jab from the southpaw, a little left to follow from Harvey. Kind of leaning in, lunging in, but I like it, man. He's trying to be defensively responsible as well. Kind of misses on that rear left hook back in the orthodox stance. Just a couple seconds left. Jab, cross. Yeah, I mean, he knows nothing Cervantes is throwing at him is going to bother him at this point. And, you just get more confident with that throughout the fight. Yeah, you see Cervantes with that little mark there. But no, I think MVP's good. American boxing's in a weird place where a lot of these guys maybe don't have a promoter. Things are kind of in limbo. I guess Showtime would be with Amazon at this point. But beyond that, where are you? Where are you going to go? Are you trying to be global? Or are you trying to go where the money is? Different things like that. I know Eddie Hearns and Matchroom are, becoming big over here in America and, putting on different shows. But yeah, you see he takes one. There's a series of left hooks, mixes in some rights in there as well. Jabs from that southpaw stance before he switches it up, had him up against the ropes, getting in some good work. But I think MVP can kind of fill that void. I think since the Serrano-Taylor fight on the Tyson card, I think women's boxing following definitely increased, even just from that, with those two girls. Just all the people, the moms, men and women, anybody who happen to be watching that. So it's definitely getting a strong hold on this rising audience as far as like women's boxing in America, but then also giving some pros, some upcoming prospects, different guys. As long as Jake does this and puts on these events, yeah, he's getting the bag for himself. But he's given a platform for these other fighters, and I guess that's kind of the most important thing. So why is it Tyron Woodley versus Anderson Silva so high on this card? Because I guess that's what's going to sell and what's not going to cost too much. He's got the rear left hook to the body there from Harvey. Ref says to keep him up. I think that was about at or above the belt line. But he just keeps flinging that jab, man, from the southpaw stance. I mean, which hand is stronger? He knows. But yeah, you think because Jake's been putting on these different. I mean, talk about the Triller show, the Nate Robinson show. Even that, I mean, like I was watching that, right? So like, getting more viewership than possibly some of these platforms would have like anticipated with these kind of shows, and obviously the skill level as well from a guy like Jake. And yeah, I mean, even then, you think back to those days. He had some shows in Ohio. Couple lead rights there from Harvey halfway through the fourth round. Back in that orthodox stance, flinging these jabs. I mean, that's difficult, man. Go orthodox, hit him upstairs. Southpaw, hit him downstairs. Mix it up stance-wise, punch selection-wise, and just constantly giving this guy something to think about. He can't physically outwork you, and then, he's not going to be mentally able to figure out this puzzle just yet. Nice work downstairs and an uppercut from Harvey. Getting dicey here, man. 1-2s, because you think about that 100% knockout percentage and things like that. They're trying to safeguard that as much as they can. Yeah, like I said, even like years ago, like the shows in Ohio with like Montana Love, that was a guy he was trying to kind of help make a little more popular. Coming from that same part of the country, I suppose. Little lead right hook followed by a rear left uppercut. Oh man, that was smooth, yo. Quick switch from the orthodox to the southpaw as he was coming in. Jeez, that's dangerous. Could probably only do it in a fight like this. That's what I'm saying. Cervantes is 10 seconds left in the fourth. Ooh, big left to the body. Jeez, followed by some work upstairs, man. I don't know how he eats these. This guy's tough. He's not just some 5-0 bum, man. He's a 5-0 chin. I'll tell you that. He's not a bag. He's a chin. He's a flipper chin. Christmas football on Netflix. That's interesting. Very interesting. Um, but yeah, man. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm more for this undercard anyway. Like, I mean, AJ doing anything, I'm for. But yeah, this undercard's been exciting, man. I love fight weeks. Like, that's the thing with sports. Like, I can get myself excited for anything, but especially fights, man. Like, just let me watch a minute of the fighter, a minute interview, just get a good look at that right cross, left hook, another right cross. Ooh, jeez. How do you eat that, man? I guess he's kind of rolling with it, but man, this guy's tough. Um, but yeah, I can get excited for any fight. Just let me learn a little bit about the fighter, maybe hear him speak, watch him work, watch him practice, see what they like to wear. You know what I mean? Just anything like that, man. Give me a reason to root for somebody, to just root for a good fight. Added information on a couple of guys coming in. Well, jab followed by that rear right uppercut. So Harvey keeps coming in with that right hook as well. I mean, yeah, you can see him, man. He looks fresh. He doesn't look phased at all by anything his opponent's doing. You figure in this fight, if you can't get a knockout right, yeah, he's got to kind of school or outclass his opponent. Keeps hitting him with that rear two. Yeah, certainly mixing it up, man. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, that's the kind of guy, if you're going to get him in bouts like this, he's going to have to be in maybe 5 times a year, something like that. Get him in 15, 20 fights, and then, you start to really step up the competition. That seems to be how they kind of like to get these guys going. Gradual process, unless he's some kind of like world beater, and could be right now. It's interesting. Like, I think of a Keyshawn Davis. I mean, he's been on the scene for a couple years in Top Rank, and I think Top Rank, would really like to take their time with some of these guys. But he's a guy that I feel like is pretty quickly. Doesn't feel, maybe it's 20 some fights, but it doesn't feel like he's fought that many times. It feels like it's been like a very short period of time. It's just interesting, man. Like, boxing promotion.